I once sat down with Brian Wilson and asked him, "What is the saddest song you ever recorded?" He paused, his eyes distant, and said, "Cry." There was a heaviness in his voice, as if the memory of that song still lingered in the air between us. When I played it for him, his face changed. "I wish you wouldn't have played that," he said quietly, almost as if the music itself reopened old wounds he'd tried to heal. In that moment, I realized the sadness in his music was real, a deep well fueling his art. His songs weren't just melodies, they were confessions, echoes of a soul searching for peace. On June 11, 2025, the world learned Brian Wilson had passed away at 82. The news rippled through generations of fans, each remembering where they were the first time they heard his voice. The news felt like a gentle chord fading into silence, a final note lingering in the air, leaving behind a sense of loss and gratitude. He was the architect of the Beach Boys, the mind behind the music that became the soundtrack to summer. His harmonies painted pictures of endless youth and sunlit days. But his life was far from a sunny day at the beach. Behind the bright melodies, there were shadows only he could see. It was a story of pain, struggle, and almost divine talent. His genius was inseparable from his suffering. He heard melodies no one else could. Music seemed to flow through him as if he were a vessel for something greater. He once said, "I believe that God is music. When you make music, that's God talking to you." For Brian, every note was a prayer, every harmony a conversation with the divine. For Brian, creating music was a spiritual act, a way to connect with something bigger. It was his sanctuary, his way of making sense of a world that often felt overwhelming. He gave us songs that made us feel carefree and joyous, about surfing, cars, and California girls. His music was a passport to a golden world, even if he rarely felt at home there himself. Yet, he was often lost in private sorrow. The world saw the smile, but few understood the storms inside. He battled mental illness, fame, and a difficult childhood. The pressures of genius weighed heavily on his shoulders, and the cost of his gift was steep. The man who wrote the happiest songs often felt the deepest sadness. His music was a bridge between those two worlds. He was like a lighthouse keeper, guiding others to joy, but alone in the storm. His light shone for us, even when he struggled to find his own way. His pain was the fuel for our joy. Through his suffering, he created beauty that touched millions. When we remember him, we must remember both sides, the laughter and the tears, the sunshine and the rain. Celebrate the sun-drenched harmonies, but honor the quiet, introspective soul who crafted them. His legacy is not just in the music, but in the courage it took to share his heart. His life teaches us that beauty can grow from the darkest places. Even in struggle, hope can bloom. Our deepest wounds can lead to our greatest gifts. Brian's music is proof that pain can be transformed into something timeless. Brian Wilson didn't just write songs, he built worlds, inviting us to dream, to feel, to heal. He poured his entire complicated, beautiful, and broken heart into them. Every lyric, every chord was a piece of his soul. Because he did, his music will live forever. It will echo through time, comforting and inspiring those yet to come. It's a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. His songs remind us that even in darkness, there is light. The world is richer for the sounds he created. His melodies are woven into the fabric of our lives, and in every note, his spirit endures, reminding us that music, like love, never truly dies. What does it mean to be a genius? Is it about raw talent, or is it about seeing the world differently, hearing possibilities where others hear only silence? For Brian Wilson, it meant hearing music that didn't exist yet, and making it real. He imagined entire worlds of sound before a single note was played. He wrote, arranged, produced, and sang, redefining what a pop artist could be. Every detail mattered, from the harmonies to the tiniest percussion. By 25, he'd created hits that changed popular music forever, reshaping the sound of an entire generation. He wasn't just making songs, he was building miniature symphonies, layering instruments and voices in ways no one had tried before. Take Good Vibrations, not just a song, but an event. It was a pop single that felt like a journey, full of twists and surprises. Brian called it a pocket symphony. He wanted to fit the grandeur of classical music into a radio-friendly format. He spent months in the studio, using new instruments like the electro-theremin and piecing together sounds from different studios. Every session was an experiment, a search for something magical. The result? A masterpiece, a journey in 3 minutes. It was unlike anything listeners had heard before. He proved pop could be as ambitious as classical music, blending genres and breaking boundaries. Then came Pet Sounds, lush, orchestral, and deeply personal. It was an album that invited listeners into Brian's inner world. Songs like God Only Knows are musically complex yet feel simple and direct. They touch the heart while dazzling the mind. Paul McCartney called it the greatest song ever written, a testament to Brian's genius and emotional honesty. Brian's gift was making sophistication accessible. He brought art to the masses without ever talking down to his audience. His influence reached across the Atlantic, inspired the Beatles' most ambitious work, sparking a creative rivalry that pushed both bands to new heights. It was a creative conversation between the era's two most innovative forces, each challenging the other to dream bigger. Brian raised the bar for everyone. He made musicians believe that pop could be limitless. He showed that pop music could be art, worthy of galleries and concert halls. He wasn't following trends, he was inventing a new musical language, one that still inspires musicians today. Artists are still learning to speak it today, finding new meaning in his innovations. He painted with sound, turning 3-minute songs into emotional landscapes that linger long after the music ends. His ambition changed what pop music could be, opening doors for generations of artists. Brian Wilson didn't just make hits, he made history, leaving a legacy that continues to echo, and the world is still listening, discovering new layers in his music with every generation. The Beach Boys' music sounds like pure happiness, sunshine, sand, and endless summer. Their songs instantly transport you to a golden world where worries seem to melt away, replaced by the warmth of the California sun and the laughter of friends. Songs like Surfin USA and Fun, Fun, Fun make you smile with their bright harmonies and energy. The music is infectious, inviting you to sing along, to dance, to feel young and free, if only for a moment. Brian Wilson built a world we all wanted to live in, a place where every day felt like the start of summer vacation, full of hope and possibility. But beneath the sunny sound, there was always a current of melancholy. Even in the brightest melodies, you can sense a longing, a gentle ache that lingers just out of sight. Listen to In My Room, a simple song about peace, but also about loneliness and the need to escape. It's a quiet confession, a safe space for anyone who's ever felt misunderstood. Brian shared his vulnerability, letting us see the sadness behind the smile. He wasn't afraid to reveal the shadows that sometimes crept into his sunlit world. This duality, joy and sorrow, makes his music timeless. It's what gives the songs their depth, their ability to touch us no matter where we are in life. He captured the feeling of being young and in love, but also of feeling out of place. His music speaks to the thrill of belonging and the ache of isolation, sometimes in the very same verse. He gave a voice to the dreamers and the quiet kids, to anyone who ever felt like they didn't quite fit in. Life isn't all sunshine, and Brian knew true happiness is more meaningful when contrasted with sorrow. He understood that the brightest days are precious because of the shadows that sometimes fall. He wove these emotions into his songs, creating a rich tapestry of sound and feeling. Every note, every lyric is layered with honesty and heart. His music comforts us in our saddest moments and celebrates our happiest. It's there for us, no matter what we're feeling. He let us know it's okay to feel both at once, to laugh and cry, to hope and remember. That's why his songs endure. They grow with us, echoing our own stories as we change. They're as human as he was, full of light and shadow, joy and sadness, always reaching for something beautiful. Brian Wilson's life was not the carefree postcard his music suggested. His father, Murray, was both the band's first manager and a source of trauma. The pressure to create hits and the turmoil at home created a storm inside Brian. The room he sang about was a mental sanctuary. In 1964, a nervous breakdown forced him to stop touring. He retreated to the studio, becoming a creative hermit. There, he made his most groundbreaking work, including, but his struggles with mental health were profound. Diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, he battled paranoia and hallucinations. Drugs worsened his pain, and for years he became a recluse. Vulnerable, he fell under the control of a manipulative therapist, Eugene Landy, until a court battle freed him in 1992. The brilliant mind behind the music was often trapped in darkness. His genius survived, but at a heavy cost. Brian's pain was woven into his music. His sensitivity made him vulnerable, but also allowed him to create beauty from suffering. Songs like Wouldn't It Be Nice dream of a perfect love he never had. The studio became his sanctuary, where he built lush, introspective worlds. Even his mental illness shaped his work, was brilliant but fragmented, mirroring his mind. The pressure to top himself, resistance from the band, and his own struggles caused the project to collapse. The music became too personal and painful to finish. For a time, his genius broke under the strain, but even in fragments, his art endured. The Beach Boys sold a dream of California: sunshine, surfing, and romance. But Brian Wilson, the architect of that dream, never surfed. He was an indoor boy, more at home at the piano than the beach. The endless summer was a beautiful fiction. His reality was often a private winter. He was shy, sensitive, and thrust into the spotlight. The world saw the smiling faces, but not the man wrestling with his demons. He gave the world joy, even when he couldn't find it himself. The disconnect between public persona and private pain is a powerful reminder. We never truly know someone's struggles. Brian created a perfect world in song, a world he could only visit. That makes his music even more poignant. The true measure of Brian Wilson's greatness was the awe he inspired in his peers. Musicians saw him as a visionary, not just a pop star. The Beatles, especially Paul McCartney, were among his biggest admirers. Their creative rivalry pushed both bands to new heights. McCartney called God Only Knows the greatest song ever written. After Brian's passing, tributes poured in from legends like Elton John and Sting. They called him our American Mozart. These weren't just condolences. They were acknowledgments of a debt the music world owed him. Brian Wilson inspired the inspired. For decades was music's great lost masterpiece, a symbol of Brian's breakdown. But in 2004, nearly 40 years later, he faced his ghosts and finished the album. With help from his new band and his wife Melinda, he completed. Its release was a resurrection, a symbol of recovery, not defeat. He had finally finished the symphony. The music that once haunted him became a triumph. He returned to the stage, sharing his most personal work with the world. This comeback was a story of redemption and resilience. Love and stability helped him reclaim his life in music. He released solo albums, toured, and even reunited with the Beach Boys. He didn't let his past define his future. After the darkest storms, the sun came out again. The smile he shared was one of hard-won peace. When Brian Wilson left us, the world felt quieter. But his music remains, a legacy that echoes through generations. His songs are more than oldies, they're woven into our lives. Brian's story teaches us that our greatest strengths and weaknesses are two sides of the same coin. He turned suffering into beauty, sadness into universal joy. His life is a lesson in resilience, falling, rising, and creating again. He found his way back to the music, and to the light. God only knows what we'd be without him. The line now feels even more profound. We'll continue with his music, sharing it with new generations. As long as we listen, the boy who heard God in the music will never be silent. He lives on in every perfect soaring note. His spirit endures in the harmonies he gave the world, and the music will never fade away.